Everybody feels scared about it, everyone feels hesitant about it, but we learn to sort of, as we say, feel the fear and do it anyway. What happens is that we get so obsessed with our work that we forget about the other parts of our life. And my belief is that actually we do better work when our life's in a better balance. But as creative people, our life feels better when we're doing our work. So we need to do our creative work because it's sort of the fuel that we run on. At the same time, we need to have a life and family and support system around us because otherwise we just burn out. Up to Montana, where he had some friends, and as he was driving, he came up with a brand new idea that got really exciting to him. So I think when we're doing something we don't want to do, we get blocked. We can't do it. Writers, creators, we can't do it if we don't want to do it. No matter, it's not like laying a brick where you can just go, okay, here's another brick, here's another brick. We have to go to the creative well. The brain, the body, the emotions won't always communicate. So I guess that's part of what I've also learned in my coaching practice and in my own creative career is that we have to be creatively satisfied and happy, and we also have to find, we do have to make a living, we do have to find the projects that pay. And I decided to move to Los Angeles where people were really making a living in the creative industries. I had lived in LA twice, so it was now my third time living in Los Angeles. I decided, yes, that when I was living in San Francisco area, I was getting clients who used to work at a corporate job, now they wanted to quit their corporate job to write a book or paint or something like that, which, good for them, but I couldn't make a living that way. So I had to move to a city where there were writers and producers, and those are the people that I loved, the film people. So I guess what I also want to say about meeting all of you here is, you're just like the people I know in Los Angeles. You know, you dress the same, you think the same thing matters. Have a little different accent, but your interests are the same. The movies you've seen, the music you listen to, what drives you is really the same. You're several thousand miles away from the main entertainment industry, but what I'm seeing is going on, you're starting to learn as a region and the countries, how does it work? How do you make movies? How do you raise money? How do you get stuff going on? And so I see there's part of the breaking borders thing, I love it, is that you've broken the borders between the Scandinavian countries. You're starting to break those borders. And now a new kind of creation, a new kind of maturity is happening for you as filmmakers and for the industry in the Scandinavian region. So almost like so much more is possible. You can connect through the internet, as you know. You found me through the internet. I could find out about you guys through the internet. You can collaborate on projects. You can find out what's going on at Cannes, what's going on at AFM, what's going on all around the world, what's going on on YouTube. So that's giving you, as a new film region, the opportunity to connect with money, with talent, with writers, with directors, with actors all around the world. So one of the big things I'm hearing is that and one of the things that the Film Arc region is doing, Film Arc Summit is doing, is helping you to connect, helping you to find the ways you can collaborate. How can you meet each other? How can you see how other filmmakers are doing it? How can you see how other animation companies are doing it? Learn from each other's mistakes more, find what the opportunities are. And so it's very exciting. So I feel, like I say, you have different accents than people in Los Angeles, but very much the same in what drives. So, I don't know, I transitioned to career coaching because I know what the life is, I know how the career thing works, I know how important keeping the creative process going is. The other thing that I do, I just want to say, is what I call executive coaching and leadership coaching. So it's with companies who have got to a point where they're not just project-based, it's sort of somewhere between project plus and real companies, where they, like, let's say a producer has had a successful enough film that now they can support and hire a staff, or they're on a studio lot because they've got an actor attached, and they've got a development company of some sort. They have to learn how to run a business. They have to learn how to be leaders and managers. They've never really done that. Their expertise is in telling stories. Their expertise is in working with crew and being on the set and working with the edit. They've never had to manage people. They've never had to navigate those waters. So working with creative people in business is very different because we don't have the background, we don't have the experience, and in the past, we didn't really care. But suddenly, when a business is starting to succeed, that's when we have to manage the money differently, manage the projects. How are we going to spend our money on development? What are we going to invest? What if my partner wants to do this, but I want to do that? How do we navigate that stuff? So that's a different skill set. So I call that the leadership coaching piece of what I do. I also help writers. I've worked with some writers who became TV writers who became head writers. Suddenly they had to run a show. They were a showrunner. They were the head of executive producer of a show. I worked with a guy, Jeff Davis, who was a creator of the show on CBS called Criminal Minds. He wrote the pilot. Everybody loved it. Once the show got on the air, he was paired with an experienced showrunner, executive producer. The two of them didn't get along. Several weeks later, Jeff was fired from his own show. He thought his career was over. I don't want what happened to me to happen to you. Of course, that's what happened. So Jeff got fired. We ended up working together for 3-4 months. At the end of our working together, he re-signed his deal with ABC to develop more shows. And he was on and off with various projects. And now actually there's a new show called Teen Wolf that's going to be airing on MTV, and Jeff was creator of that. So it's his first time back after 5 years. And we'll see how that does. But he learned how to lead a team. He learned how to lead a team of writers, and he learned how to deal with the executives. And there's a different way of doing this that's developing. It's not about being the boss. It's not the military model that says, I'm the boss, do it my way. There's a different style that's where when he talks to the network executives, it's not a power play. He says, I let them talk. It's their time to be heard. They want to make the best show possible. Instead of thinking, I'm going to fight against those network executives, he says, I want to hear them. It's their time to talk. I don't have to do everything they want. I just have to listen to them. So it's a great, great difference in how we've tended to look at it, inspired for a new idea, or you ran into somebody at the laundromat nearby who's got an idea for a project. My perspective is, that's great. What we did was we got you out of your house, we got you out of your computer, taking some steps, getting away from all the distractions that we can sometimes get stuck in. So sometimes people will say, well, I'm going to write 5 pages of this script this week, or I'm going to make these phone calls. And a week later they say, well, you know what I realized? I don't really care about that project. I don't really want to make those phone calls because I don't really believe that person can help me. My feeling is, that's okay, let's move on. What do you want to do next? You want to write something else? Do you want to do... It's always about taking the action and learning from it. Taking the action and learning from it. Whether you did it or not, I think you learned something. Even if you might realize you're more scared, you might realize that you need more help, you might realize you don't really know what the step is. Often with writers I'm working with, they say, well, I haven't really gotten to my writing, and I don't know what to do. I say, well, if you were sitting, what is the first step? And they go, well, I'm not really sure what the first step is. And I say, well, that's great. So now we need to figure out what the first step is. Is it, sometimes it's find your project. Where is it on your desk? Where is it on your computer? Those simple, single first steps can be the big block, but we don't even notice it until someone asks us about it. As an example, I have a client I worked with. He's an actor and comedian and writer. He hadn't filed his taxes in 5 years. Not like it's ever happened to anyone else. Okay, hadn't filed his taxes in a long time. And he said, I'm so overwhelmed, I don't even know what to do. I don't know how to get out of this thing. And I said, well, do you know where your taxes are? He goes, yeah, it's in a box in my garage. I said, okay, your homework this week is just one thing. Take that box out of the garage and bring it inside the house. That's all you got to do for the whole week. He goes, yeah, I guess I could do that. Not that hard, right? Just all you got to do, pick the box up, bring it inside. So he did that. We were talking on the phone. He hung up the phone. He pulled the box inside. And then once he had the box inside, he went, I wonder what's in here. And he opened the box, and he started the process. So it's those little things we trick ourselves. We trick ourselves to be terrified of stuff, and also we can trick ourselves to kind of start it, but by getting the box from the garage to the house. And same thing with the creative process, same thing with writing, same thing with doing anything that's scary. Maybe your task is to call an agent or call a producer or do something. Maybe the first step is I need to find the person's phone number or email address. Or I need to just find them on IMDb. What do I need to know? So what I want to do as a coach is help people figure out the big picture of what matters, figure out what project we're going to focus on, and then what is the single step. And once you take those first steps, what naturally starts to happen is we start to do stuff. Our natural intelligence starts to go, actually I think once that box is here, I'll open it. Once I found that person's email, I'll start to write that email. So the process begins, but we can get paralyzed by fear ultimately, but sometimes it's by not knowing what the first step is. So that's one of the ways that I help people in their careers. So here's what I want to do now. I want to give you all a chance to focus on something. So let's say, so now I want everybody to find a partner to work with. So we're going to put you in groups of two, and one person be A, one person be B. So if I write now a partner, they'll tell you what the next step is. So maybe someone's sitting here next to, maybe someone across the room, but everyone get into a partner of two, please.